Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kuvas and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, that's G-R-A-N, group, at edinarealty.com, or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. Men for the Win is part of the Pull Tab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at pulltabsports. On this episode, Dan and Hoges recap the Twins' 3-game series against the Detroit Tigers. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. I am Dan Thompson. With me this time is Andrew Hoges Hoganson, together for the first time, very far apart. He is not in studio with me.
Yes,
he is in his basement. I'm in my new house now, so if it's a little echoey, if something goes wrong, I'm going to blame David. I'm going to find a way that it was his fault.
I agree. I'm with
this
you.
This is just a scheduled off day for him, so this is kind of like Byron Buxton last year, where it's a maintenance day for his marriage, his parenting, all those things.
Yep,
Hoges,
no chance there's any pinch hitting in the 7th inning or anything like that. You and I could have had influenza A and B, and we were still recording this one tonight.
Exactly. So, Hoges, I actually wanted to veer away from baseball for just a minute here because you were at the Timberwolves game today, and I would say of the Minnesota sports teams that were in action, I'm pretty sure the Timberwolves, it was more consequential today.
Yeah, I think I made the right choice. Although I do always decide to go to these games on weird days, so I missed everything except for the 18th hole and the playoff of the Masters, which was just epic. But yeah, the Wolves game was great. I mean, the West this year is just wild because this game could have been play-in tournament or all the way up to the 4 seed. They clinched the 6th. The crowd was pretty lively for playing the Jazz, who are the worst team in basketball. I'm excited about the Wolves right now. Seems like the Wild are going to sneak in too, which that's exciting. But I mean, hey, the Wolves are 17-4 since the beginning of March. Let's bring on the Lakers. I'm ready for it.
Don't give me hope.
I'm not an NBA guy normally, but I am around playoff time now after that run that the Timberwolves had last year. So
for sure, it was awesome. It's just, it stinks though that we got to play Luka again. Like you just have that bad feeling from last year, and then we get him again right away. But yeah, like you said, Minnesota sports, minus the one that we have to talk about, are looking good right now.
Well, that's the thing. So the Twins, they win 1 of the 3 against Detroit. They improved on Sunday to 5-11 overall, which they had the day before. They were tied for their worst start ever in franchise history. And I kept seeing the stat that, hey, if you remember, the Twins in 91 were 4-10 or something like that. But it fails to mention the other times that the Twins were bad.
Yeah, right. That they didn't win the World Series after. I get that this is definitely a Minnesota sports fan thing, but when we went to 4-11, I was actually kind of happy because then I was like, now they can shut up about the dang 1991 team. And we were like that. It's like, now we're just bad. We're bad. And we're bad.
Very Minnesotan. And then the other thing, too, you weren't there, obviously, on Sunday, but our guy, Joe Mauer.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there.
His statue was unveiled.
I actually saw it because I walked past in order to get into Target Center tonight. So I have seen it and I liked it. I thought it looked really cool. It's right across from where the Puckett statue is, right when you're entering into that main gate 34. It looks, this is what I'll say. It looks infinitely better than the Dwayne Wade statue in Miami. So they at least got that right.
Well, thank goodness. I'm excited to go. I will hug it. Will you hug Joe when you see it?
I will. Okay. I almost went out to actually go get a picture taken next to it, but I was already kind of bummed that I was going inside on a day that it's 70 degrees here in Minnesota. So I couldn't go outside because then I think I would have just ended up walking into Target Field and watching that game instead of going to the Wolves game. But man, Dan, I got to say there was no one at Target Field today. Like it was bleak.
Well, I guess that's as good of a transition as any into the series recap.
Series recap.
Game 1, the Tigers win this one 7-6. One of the more heartbreaking losses already for this team. It's a mostly quiet first 4 innings. The Twins get a run in the bottom of the second on a France RBI single. And then we also should mention that the Twins changed up their City Connect kit I suppose would be the soccer term for this. They're now wearing white pants, which I think is a bold move before Memorial Day. Isn't that a thing, Hoges?
I think that's a faux pas. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I like it, though, I think. I didn't really like the pants as much. It was just a little bit too much blue, I guess. And I don't know. I think it looks good.
Now, it didn't matter. It didn't help them win this baseball game. Just a few more of the highlights. In the top of the fifth, the Tigers tie it on a Gleyber Torres RBI single. And then with 2 outs in that inning, that's it for David Festa. We're going to talk more about that moment a little bit later. His final line, 4 2/3, 3 hits, 1 walk, 0 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 64 pitches, 41 of which were strikes. Now, Danny Coulomb comes in, gets the last out of the fifth, so that was good. And then things look good here in the bottom of the fifth, Hoges.
So they finally string together a couple hits, put up a crooked number. First time since the Houston series. Wallner's hit by a pitch, Castro singles, Correa singles in Wallner, and after a Larnach K, Buxton legs out a fielder's choice for an RBI. Then Julian, who's been hot, follows with a double, and it's 4-1 Twins.
And again, things look good, but they don't look good for very long, because in the top of the sixth, Jorge Alcala comes in, allows 4 straight Tigers to reach. That's when Rocco's had enough of him. Justin Topa can't mop it up either. 4 runs score. The Tigers take a 5-4 lead. They tack on runs in the 7th and the 8th. Now, those were sandwiched around a solo home run by Byron Buxton, who had a great series. So it's 7-5 going in the bottom of the 9th. We will talk more about the bottom of the 9th later, but the short of it is that the Twins score 1 run, but that's it. They leave some guys on base, and so it's 7-6 Tigers. The Buxton returned after an absence the previous 2 games. He was tending to a personal matter, and he scores 3 of the Twins' runs.
I think this was one of the more frustrating games of the series, just because they do finally get some runs put on the board. The one thing that I thought was incredibly unique about this game, I actually listened to most of it on the radio. Atterbury was talking like they were going to lose the game, even when it was up 4-1. He just had this like premonition that they were going to blow it in the 6th, and he was talking like they need to get out of the 6th. They need to get out of the 6th, and then that's when it just all exploded, and it was really kind of freaky, to be honest. I've never, like, the whole time he was talking, I was like, did I fall asleep while I was driving? Are they losing? And then he kept saying the score, and it was 4-1. And I was like, what? And then it all happened, like, right after that. And it was just, oh, man, it just was a sign of things to come in the series, too.
Well, it was, because game 2, the Twins were really cold with their bats. The Tigers win this one 4-0. Now, it's a nice start if you're a fan of baseball, because Jackson Jobe, who's a rookie, has his best start of the year for Detroit. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, no runs, 2 strikeouts. He gets his first major league win. And did you see the golf connection? His dad was a professional golfer. So it's Masters weekend, and so good on Jackson Jobe. But man, Twins, that's what you can offer against a rookie pitcher?
Do the Tigers just have every single top prospect in baseball? Like, I think they all are on their team, and they're all on the major league roster, which is why this team is frankly kind of fun to watch, because they can be amazing for stretches and then just awful for stretches too, because they have all these young guys. But I gotta admit, I'm scared of this team going forward, because they are a threat now, and they're gonna be even better in 5 years.
Well, they're leading the division right now. They're 9-6. The Guardians are 8-7. Royals are 8-8, and then there's the Twins at 5-11, a half game ahead of the White Sox,
battling it out.
And we'll see them in a week or two.
Thank goodness. We need a break.
Now, Chris Paddock actually had, and this is, air quotes around it, but his best start of the year as well. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, just 1 earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and so he's 0-2 now.
I had a friend who was at the game, and he was so excited. He's like, can you ask for a better start from Chris Paddock in this game?
Well, and so then recently recalled Cody Funderburk is up because the Twins have DFA'd Scott Blewett. Thank you, Scott, for your 2 1/3 innings on Friday. And then, which is how Rocco rolls, right?
Yes.
But then Funderburk allows 2 runs in 2 innings. Again, the Twins' bats didn't show a lot of life. But of course, 2-0 looks a whole lot better than 4-0. Spencer Torkelson knocks in 3 of the 4 Detroit runs, including a home run off of Funderburk. The Twins manage just 4 hits, the 1 walk. They go 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. And now there's a moment here. It's the bottom of the 8th, and this didn't really matter in the end.
But for one person specifically, it did.
Well, so Jose Miranda, I gotta find his sounder.
I am not throwing away my shot.
He's throwing away his shot, and he does it on one play here. So Miranda's at first. Vasquez grounds out to first base, and Torkelson throws to second, but the second baseman, Colt Keith, doesn't step on the bag. But then Miranda doesn't bother to either, and so Keith basically tags him, and then he's out. And then a couple hours later, Jose Miranda, who is having a very bad season, gets demoted. Do you think that this was actually what caused the demotion, or was Rocco already thinking it?
I think it was the cherry on top. Like, I think it may have already happened already. But, I mean, as we know, like, when Rocco just would not call Alcala up because he didn't cover first base, this might be it for Miranda. But it is a bad baseball play. And I get that times have changed a little bit, right? Because, like, before, if a guy didn't sprint 100 miles down to first base, they were getting benched. That doesn't happen anymore because they're trying to limit those injuries and everything like that. But this was a mental error at second. And Rocco was very harsh in his post-game comments. I don't know if you heard them or not, but he kind of went after him, and that's not a thing that Rocco normally does.
No, and I wonder what his game is there. I mean, he's always trying to do something.
And you're no match for my brain.
So maybe this is a Jedi mind trick or something like that to get Miranda to play better. But we come back to it. That hitting streak, where is that guy?
But that's the whole team, though, right? Because even when we talked in our season preview, horrible at the beginning of the year last year, the best record in baseball for the middle 4 months or whatever, and then historically horrible at the end. That's why predicting this year was so difficult, because we didn't know what team we were going to get. And right now, we're getting the horrible end. But I think that's why, like, maybe we're not all as depressed about this as we probably should be, is because we know what this team is capable of. We know what Miranda is capable of, but we also know, like, how horrible they are capable of. It's just such a weird dichotomy right now, and I can't get over it.
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
Yeah, I guess so. But Aaron,
I don't know. Does that make you feel good or bad? I mean, it makes me feel bad, but...
Well, have you seen Gleeman? I mean, Gleeman has gone very negative, too.
Oh, he's done. He's totally done.
He keeps tacking on that last month and a half of last season with this one, and, extrapolating and finding all kinds of stats.
I think he's giddy that there's 5,000 fans at every single game, too.
It's weird. A couple last things about this game. It's going poorly when Johan Duran comes in and pitches the 8th, even when the Twins are down 4-0.
Yeah.
And then Alcala, for his part, actually pitches a scoreless 9th. Then we get to game 3. The Twins do win this game 5-1. It's their first win of the series, obviously. SWR goes 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 5 Ks. I didn't see him wink at anybody or balk. so I guess maybe he's humbled a little bit.
Did you watch the John Boy breakdown of that too? It was
Brilliant.
Pretty funny. And I mean, I think he was pretty dead on. Rocco was clearly not like fully realizing what was going on. Umpire did a terrible job of explaining it, and they just yelled at each other for a while.
Oh, very, very adult of these guys. The only run that SWR gives up is a Torkelson solo shot. He, again, one of those names we're going to be saying a lot over the next few years. But otherwise, the Tigers didn't really have a lot of chances. They're just 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. And finally, we saw the top 5 of the Twins order produce. They had 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 RBI. Buxton and Julian each with a home run. And Ty France, your guy.
After all, miss, this is France.
Which we will get to in a minute in Puckett's picks. His OPS leads the team at 811. And then we see the bullpen kind of do the bullpen thing. Varland, Sands, Jax, Duran in that order, which I think is the order that Rocco wants to use them. Each pitch a scoreless inning to hold on to that lead.
Yeah, Varland getting 3 Ks, Jax getting 3 Ks. Varland looked great. It was kind of funny. Rocco called him Lou Varland in the post game today, so we're back to that all over again. But
Louis?
That's what we want to see, right? The top of our order producing, the big guys coming in. I mean, granted, you don't really want to have to use all 4 of them in one game, but I don't know. This game still had a bit more of a sigh of relief feeling for me than anything else. And not even really a sigh of relief, just more like okay, we're holding on. That last string hasn't been cut yet kind of a feeling. But
I mean, they didn't lose 3 of 4. They lost 2 of 3. Right? So that feels a little bit better.
Less bad. Yeah, I guess.
Well, folks, spring is here, really, and it's time to think about dusting off the grill and inviting the neighbors over for a good old backyard barbecue. Lucky for you, Cub Foods is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. With everyday fresh products and a wide selection, you'll be in great shape to host the next grill out with all your backyard essentials. So grab your fresh produce, your deli meats, party trays, and bakery all in one place. With over 100 locations in Minnesota, check out your local Cub on your next shopping trip for all your springtime essentials.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Puckett's Picks winner.
Hoges, welcome to the winner's circle here. You won a Puckett's Picks.
Finally, about time. And it just doesn't even feel like that great of a win even. But yeah, I'll take it. I needed to get on the board. This was quickly getting away from me.
So you picked Ty France, who had 9 points. David picked Correa, who had 3. I picked Larnach, who had -1, and that's the same number that Matt Wallner had for the listeners, -1. Now, you don't get the extra bonus point because Byron Buxton becomes the 5th guy through 5 series now to lead
Isn't
the team.
that crazy? Like David and
nuts.
I talked about it a little bit. It's how so equally bad and good this entire team has been. I'm even saying good is a bit of like a stretch for a lot of these guys, but like there's no top 4 really that we should be picking for these. And we'll get to it here soon, but like our beast and bench are just so drastically different after every single series. And normally you'd think, wow, that's a great sign. It is not. It is not a good sign.
You do lead in the season points scored, 11 for you, 9 for David, 7 for me. Listeners at -3. But in
That's
the wins,
just bad after
isn't
5
that
series.
nuts?
11
That's-
is first. Is that what it is?
I mean, we
Ugh.
can blame the double plays now costing 2 points instead of 1, but no,
and
not
Correa
good.
deciding to try to break the major league record in the first 81 games of the season, apparently.
I do lead the season series. I have 3 wins, and then you and David each have 1. And the listeners still looking for their first one here. Well, let's go on here to Beast versus Bench.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
We were just talking about Buxton. He's my beast. He had a couple home runs. He scored 5 runs in this series. He's running the bases well. Dare we say that he's going to clear the 100 games this season the way he's playing?
Man, I would hope so. But he's like we said, he's such a spark plug of this team. When he's running the bases like that, that's when they. And we saw it. We saw it in this series. I think that's a great choice. I should have gone Buxton, right? I mean, he's the obvious choice. But in true myself tradition, I had to pick my Puckett's Picks winner. I went with Ty France, 5 for 9, 3 RBI. He didn't really have a whole lot of power necessarily in this series, but still that average is climbing up. He's batting .298 right now. The man's producing. I love it. I don't know if what David said is where he's going to be top 2 first baseman in the league at the end of the year and signing a $40 million a year contract. I don't think we're on that pace quite yet, but it is good to see some production out of him.
He didn't strike out. You know, I mean, like that's the other thing. And 1 walk on
and he's
top
hitting
of
the
it.
ball hard. Like that's all you can ask for right now.
As for the bench, so I'm kind of punching a guy when he's down, but I went with Mickey Gasper. He's 0 for 4 with a walk. He only played 1 game, but on the season he's 2 for 17. And I just kind of think he's maybe the guy that we thought that he was when they signed him, and that was 0 for 18, I think, last year in his major league career. So I was a little surprised he didn't get sent down. I think it just is a testament to how bad Miranda has been and how much Rocco really likes positional flexibility to keep Gasper up. But at some point you have to produce, and he's just not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm going with a similar thing. Like a guy who is who we thought he was, I'm picking Vasquez. Mainly, honestly, because I got ticked off when David was like, I'm not going to put him on my bench this year because he's just going to be bad.
Yeah, what was that?
That means he should be on the bench because he's a
Exactly.
regular player. He played in 2 games. He did get 1 hit, so I feel like I'm being a little harsh. Bader offered in this series. I could have given it to Bader too. There's a lot of choices for bench in this one, but I went with Vasquez. He's batting 125. Like you cannot do that. You cannot bat 125 and expect to be getting close to 50% of the starts at catcher.
Rocco's Rewind.
I think we can just go kind of in order here. So in game 1, David Festa came up, and Rocco did say he's going to get another start here. I believe it'll be in the Mets series.
Yep.
So David Festa may be here to stay, and we'll see kind of what that does with the rotation going forward. But you pull him after 64 pitches in game 1, and this is game 1 of a home series where you're complaining about using your bullpen a lot. Or maybe he's not complaining, but he's using the bullpen a whole lot, and they're not doing great. I know that the bullpen has been good overall.
Yeah, but what you talked about, though, usage will catch up to you at the end of the year. It for sure did with the Twins last year. I think Jax was running on fumes by the end of the season. So, yeah, I agree.
If it's the 3rd time through the order thing, we've said this before. At some point, you have to let the guy pitch through the 3rd time in the order to get those stats. At least let him try to close out the inning. Give him one more batter, at least to try to get win eligible. And I know that that's not a huge, it's a mental thing more than anything, but doesn't that give you confidence as a player if your manager's like, hey, let's let you finish out the 5th? It wasn't an outlandish situation.
Well, it's frustrating too because I realize that like you have results oriented thinking when stuff like this happens, but it keeps on happening where when Rocco pulls a guy where we would think a little bit earlier with 60 to 80 pitches, instantly they give it up in the next inning. And it's happened at least like 3 or 4 times already this year that wins have turned into losses. I think that's one of the more frustrating things about this year is they easily could be about 500 if you just don't make some of those mind-numbing mistakes in the 6th and 7th inning. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. It seems like when he's pulling these guys guys early. He's sticking with these relievers for a long time. Like Alcala clearly didn't have it. He allowed 4 hits and 2 walked batters. Why is he facing that many guys? Like after 3, get him out of there. Like he's not on that day. You made the decision to pull him. You're going to the bullpen already, and still he exited with no outs. So you didn't save yourself anything in the long run. And then he did it to Funderburk again in the game 2. So I don't really know what's going on with this. Why he's sticking with these relievers when they look bad. It's almost like, do you remember, he does it with Joe Ryan and Chris Paddock, I feel like, as starters, where like if they're going to start giving up runs, Rocco's like, sorry, man, you're throwing until you get 100 pitches. But then other guys he leaves in. It doesn't make sense to me for a guy who is so cold and calculating for most of his decisions. This one seems to be the opposite, but I don't understand.
And then you'll have SWR out there for 107 pitches another day.
It's bonkers. And it's not like Festa. I mean, I get that he's still a young guy, but he has major league experience. Like I would have loved for him to stay in that game longer.
And it doesn't go well. Alcala, again, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 earned runs. He's not out there for all of them, but Topa ends up giving up the inherited runners. But he does not have to. His ERA is still at 0. So good on you,
It's
Justin
unbelievable. We're back to last year again, where we're allowing like the most it's not as bad this year. I think we're middle of the pack, but maybe not after that Alcala experience. But yeah, we're allowing the most. Like inherited runners always score. That's just what they do. So our relievers end up having these great ERAs, and our starters are like, well, thanks, dude.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
I mean, Hoges, the stats I think are actually pretty good for the bullpen, but
they are. They truly are. But
with the lineup not hitting, that's just kind of how it comes out.
Well, and we've talked about this a million times before, but yeah, when the lineup's not hitting and your starting pitching hasn't been as great as we were hoping for, although it has been a little bit better lately, there's no margin for error. So anytime the bullpen gives up a lead, it's panic.
Minnesota moment.
Again, chronologically here. So game 1, bottom 9, our co-host David Kufis can't stay away normally when there's recaps, and he's practically adding the notes himself. He didn't write them in, but he said we had to talk about this moment, and I thought this was a good spot to talk about it, especially because we're talking about Rocco already. Anyway, so the way that Rocco handled this, I think, showed some interesting things about Rocco. So the situation is that the Twins are down 2, and they're trying to rally. They get Larnach on, and they get Julian on, and there's 2 outs, first and second. He brings in Bader to pinch run for Julian at first base. France singles, and then that brings home Larnach, and Bader, to his credit, is able to motor over to third. But then that leaves you with Mickey Gasper here as your, dare I say it, the last gasp here for this team. And he check swings and hits the ball to first base, and he's running hard. God bless him. Mickey Gasper really working. I mean, he's working hard. But at that point, why not have, it sounds like a Rockers Rewind almost, but why not have Bader the pinch hitter for Gasper? I get that he's kind of the prisoner of the moment and there's 2 outs and things like that, but it's interesting that he has so little faith in Eddie Julian's ability to run the bases that he doesn't even, all Eddie's really even got to do is get to second in that situation.
Yeah.
But does he not have faith that Eddie would even make the right choice running from second to home? Like, it's a very weird way to handle that, which is kind of how we feel about Rocco. I feel like I just think his decision making this whole season has been very inconsistent and odd. We've been talking about it already.
Well, this isn't the first time we've talked about this. Like where you pinch run for a guy, and then later on in the game where you would like to have a pinch hitter, you're stuck with Vasquez, or in this case, Gasper.
Hang on a minute. We could use a pinch.
And it is frustrating because that's something that, I mean, we've harped on him a ton before about how he just pinch hits way too easily. So now the guys that we would love for him to pinch hit for, he's pinch running 2 batters beforehand, or 2 plays beforehand, and it's just, I don't know, it's insane right now.
What about you? What's your moment?
I went with the Buxton homer in game 3. Got us off to a good start today. We needed that win. We needed that lead. We got to get that measly crowd into the game. I'm looking for something right now. Buxton's been electric in games that we've won. That's what we need. That's the spark plug. Hopefully this leads to a little bit of a run here, because it's time.
All right. Well, we have more to say about Rocco here in the next
so
section.
much.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Mauer's musings.
I hate being the guy. Like I cannot stand like people calling for managers' heads instantly after a 10-game stretch. I don't think that's fair to the manager. I don't think it's fair to the players.
That's what I did, I think. So it's pretty much ready to fire him.
It's fair though. I mean, it's fair to an extent, because what else are you supposed to do? And I think I'm breaking my rule a little bit on that, because all spring training, all we heard about was we're changing how we're doing things. We're getting guys out there more. We do not want to have this cold start, and this is the coldest start we've ever had. So I get that baseball is a game of averages, but how much does this reflect on Rocco, this poor start? Because it was the one thing he set out to fix, and it's even more broken than it was before.
To bring in some of my favorite managers like Terry Francona, a guy like Joe Torre, a guy like, Alex Cora, even without the trash cans, just like there are great managers out there who say they're going to do something and then they do it and then it comes through. It does reflect on him. Well, yeah, you have to get the results. If you say that you're going to do this and this is a priority and you make demonstrative changes and you talk about it with the media and you say these things and then you still come out, and it's not like the Twins have played a gauntlet as far as their schedule goes.
No.
I mean, these are divisional foes that they know that they should be able to beat. You get swept by the Cardinals. You eke out 2 out of 3 against the White Sox. You give away a game against the Astros and lose that series. You lose 3 out of 4, again, with close managerial choices making the difference in the Royal Series, and then the same thing here against the Tigers. Now you're home again here, for the Mets, and then you're at the Braves, and you're home against the White Sox, home against the Angels. So there is opportunity here to get back to 500, even by the end of April, early May. I think is not out of the question. But I just don't trust the decisions that Rocco was making.
He's played a role in these losses. That is without a shadow of a doubt a true statement, and it does make. I've always defended his seat as the manager of this team. I've questioned it more this year than I ever have before.
Now there's another guy who actually hasn't played a role yet on this team, and it's this guy here.
He's the one.
Royce Lewis hasn't played, an inning yet of the season. And yet, it seems like being injured actually helps Royce Lewis's reputation.
I think it is.
It's a weird thing. Like, do you see what I mean? And
yeah.
Can you explain why it is that smiley Royce Lewis seems to always be like waiting in the wings and we're all just ready for him?
Yeah, but we're not this time though, right? Because according to David, we're totally fine with only having 2 out of those 3 guys healthy. So Royce Lewis might be dead for all we care, and we'll still take it because we're happy with how this is going to look. But no, in all seriousness, you're absolutely right, because now he's acting up. We're in our heads, at least I am. He's this stud that once he comes back, that offense is just going to pick up. I'm going to totally forget about the last half of last year when I don't think that guy got a hit for 3 months. On the Twins TV, they love to play that home run against the Blue Jays. You probably see it like 37 single times. It's an incredible moment. But every time I see it, I'm like, man, we need him back. We need the chosen one back.
Well, and I'm just scanning through. If you do a Google search for Royce Lewis, every season there's the headline, like, injuries may be frustrating, but Royce Lewis is not letting it dampen his spirits. Like, he's just the happiest guy. But they need him, though. I mean, it's pretty clear that Jose Miranda did not seize that third base role. I think Brooks Lee, who did come back for Game 3, we haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah, got a hit.
He can move over and play second base. There's nothing wrong with having both of those guys. There's clearly a spot for Mickey Gasper. Won't be on this team unless he turns this around in a major way. But hopefully Royce Lewis is just a few weeks away. But man, once again, they need him, Hoges.
Oh, they do. I would be remiss, too, if I didn't mention that Brooks Lee is on my fantasy baseball team, so I am happy that he is back up.
Thank you for the fantasy update.
I want people to know. Also, just to get people a really clear picture, my fantasy team is also vying for last place right now, so baseball has just been a beacon of hope and joy in my life so far.
It's a long season, Hoges. All right, now we have to grade this.
Series grades.
So I've gone away from the rubric this year, Hoges.
I've been wondering. Are you going to break out one? Is one in the works, or what's going on?
We've been so busy with moving into this house, and
they're pretty easy series to grade so far this year too. You can basically just puke all over it, and you'll get about the right call.
But I have made a habit of going second so that I can react to your grade. So if you could go first, please, that would help me out a whole lot.
I gave him a C, and I think I'm recency biasing. Like, the Sunday games always get me for whatever reason. It like totally changes my mood. Less so than like a Wednesday game. Why? I have zero explanation for that. I gave him a C. That feels really, really generous, but they won 5-1 today against the juggernaut first place Tigers, so I gave him a C.
I will remind you that they lost 4-0 on Saturday, and they gave away a game that they were up 4-1 and lost 7-6 on Friday.
All true statements.
I think this is because you were watching the Timberwolves play, and that is a playoff ready team here, so maybe that's the bias.
That might have done something.
I gave him a D. A home series versus the division leader, which, as you have reported, the weather was, I think, pretty good this weekend.
It was glorious.
In the Twin Cities. So you just gave away a winnable series in Game 1. If they had won Game 1, I think this is easily a B. And you take 2 out of 3 against, again, like you said, the division leading Tigers. So, but I think at the end of the day, it's just another one that that they should have won that they didn't.
Yeah, there's 4 games at least this year where you could say that about.
Well, speaking of big D's,
Duke Cannon makes high-quality grooming products for hardworking men. Minnesota-based and with an all-new look. Their clean new packaging featuring the Big D is unmistakable on the shelves. Whether you go for a brick of soap, thick body wash, deodorant, hair care, beard care, or cologne, Duke Cannon will have you smelling your best. Look for the Big D at Target, Walmart, Amazon, or DukeCannon.com. Once you try it, you'll be hooked. Work harder, smell better, Duke Cannon.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's headlines.
sometimes the transitions just write themselves, Hope.
Yeah,
the
they
grade
do.
of the D and then big D.
They do.
Just a couple things here. So the first one is a quick one. The City Connect jerseys, there's something about them that I kind of enjoy, Hoges, especially for teams that aren't the Twins. I just kind of like to see what they come up with. The Colorado Rockies now are in round 2. Their first ones, they were like trying to recreate the license plate of Colorado, like that, 90s green. This one, though, is a little bit more colorful. There's kind of purples and looks like there's a little bit of almost a pink in there and a yellow. It's supposed to be kind of the sunset over the Rockies. Do you have an opinion about this one or City Connect ones in general?
I like them. I like them when they go funky. Like I don't like it when it's like, I don't want to be able to necessarily look at it and know who it is right away. Like I like there being some thought. I do like that it's representative of something. So what they're talking about is like the Denver sunset is what this is supposed to be mimicking, which I think is actually a pretty good depiction of it. I love them. I like the Giants new ones. I just when they're supposed to be different and unique, and when they don't try to do that, that's when I kind of get thrown off by them. But I'm a huge fan of them. I just don't want them to go like all NBA on it, where your team could be wearing a different jersey every single night, and you're kind of like, what are our jerseys? So I'm a little nervous. We're already on like round 2 of City Connects. Like, are we gonna just keep doing this? Because I like the Twins blue ones, and they haven't had them that long. They were the last team to debut theirs, but I just like maybe we wait like 3 years in between. I don't know, something like that. I just don't want them all the time, because then frankly, my budget can't afford that.
Exactly. Gotta have the new thing. Well, I was thinking too, because I'm wearing my Twins City Connect with the yellow bill and the really cool Minnesota outline, and it says Land of 10,000 Lakes on the back. I had the most Minnesotan thing happen to me at the grocery store here in Spokane. Some guy, I didn't know, I just hear this guy say, it's really more like 11,000. And I turn around and it's like, hey, Minnesota. But I also think he didn't
only a
recognize...
Minnesotan would say that too, right? Because we're selling ourselves short, but we do still have to passively aggressive remind everyone it is more than that. Granted, it's our own slogan, but it actually is more than that too.
Oh my gosh. Well, and then the funny thing is, I don't even think he recognized it was a Twins hat, which is
Just
one of the things about
Minnesota.
It doesn't say Twins on it anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm looking,
that's true. Yeah,
So, anyway.
that is very true.
Same thing at Disney, which, by the way, I meant to ask you. So I was just in Disneyland in California. Have you done the Disney trip with your kids yet?
I have not done it with my kids. I've done it with my wife, and I gotta say I kind of hated it. And we made a pact when we were there that good thing we went when we didn't have kids, because we're never, ever, 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 ever going there with kids. And Dan, I'm actually going to Orlando on Thursday this week. And as far as my kids know, Disney World does not exist. Like there will be no mention of it. We will be going to the beach and swimming in the pool. If someone sees a Mickey Mouse somewhere, we're closing eyes and speeding down the interstate.
It's called Grandparents Hope, so watch out because they have a way of pointing out
or
where Mickey
aunts and
is.
uncles too.
Incredible. The other thing I wanted to bring up, so MLB.com had this article they posted yesterday about who will be the next player to 3,000 hits. Now, it's going to be a while, it looks like. The article focuses mostly on Francisco Lindor, who got his 1,500th last week. So scrolling through this list, there's names like Manny Machado, 1,918. Freddie Freeman, 2,271. Jose Altuve's at 2,251. He's a little bit closer than I thought. Jose Ramirez. Any names on here stand out as maybe the next guy you think will make it?
A lot of those guys that you're mentioning are older. I mean, right? I mean, obviously that's how you have to get to that big of a number, but it seems like it's becoming a little bit more of an unobtainable. I mean, it's not unobtainable. Guys are still going to get it, but it's a much more impressive stat, I feel like, to get now, because guys are getting more off days than they've ever had before. Batting average isn't valued as much, so guys are swinging. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're just not hitting as many hits in the year. I don't know. Do you have someone that you think is going to get it on this list first?
I'm biased by the tiers here because they have Manny Machado as tier 1, and he, again, now 1,918. He's 32. Though, and I think getting another 1,100, I think, is pretty doable for him.
That is, but like, what are you averaging 200 a year or so? You save that's still 5 more years. You're 37, 38 at the end of that. Like, very doable for sure. But that's a high level of production when you're getting into your mid to late 30s. And Dan, as you know, even more than I do, like once you get past 35, oh my word, like it.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
It really gets you after a while there. Other guys, Jose Ramirez is on this list at 1,510.
And
I
he's
feel like
younger, so
he is. I
I
feel
can
like we've
definitely see
seen
that one
him
happening.
get 700 against the Twins. He's 32, Lindor's 31. I guess what excites me is that there is actually a core of guys, Xander Bogaerts, Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts, who are in kind of around 30 years old, that I would think a couple of them, given the fact that they have contracts going for a long, long time, many of them.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool when a guy hits 3,000. I saw many when I was a kid, guys like, not in person, but even on the Twins, Dave Winfield, Paul Molitor getting their 3,000th hit. I think we all agree that Joe Mauer would have, had he not prioritized his family. And the greater good for the community. So
for sure,
it's a fun discussion.
And I think we are living, and David will rip me for this comment, but I think we are living a bit in the golden age of baseball. We've got some of these stars that, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased by where we are right now, but as a kid, I don't remember that much firepower that we really had with Trout, Ohtani, Harper, like Tatis, Ellie De La Cruz. Like we have these Acuna Jr. Like there's a lot of really, really, really good star players that maybe a lot of those will turn into getting 3,000 hits and maybe these 500, 600 home runs or something like that down the road.
Let's hope so. I think it's good for baseball, and I think it's such a more nationwide sport now, and we can see stars, so much more than we did.
Absolutely.
Before. Well, let's move forward here. We have our last segment, the Puckett's picks for the next series here against the Mets.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Puckett's picks.
The listeners are taking Byron Buxton. Not a big surprise after his big series. One of these times, a guy's going to have to stack some series here.
You would think. Chasing wins has turned out to be a bad strategy so far this year, but eventually, it's like the law of averages. It's got to even out eventually. And I would love it. I would love it if Buxton won.
I get to pick next because I was last. I'm going to pick Carlos Correa. Again, he keeps hitting the ball hard. David gets to pick next, and of course, he picks his daughter's second favorite player.
After all, miss, this is France.
And then that leaves you, Hoges, with a whole roster of guys.
It's so weird. I thought maybe France would fall to me. Like I thought maybe I could double it and just try to go 2 for 2 with him. Man, it just seems like when a guy goes cold, he's cold for a while. But I'm gonna go with Matt Wallner. I think we'll hopefully maybe start to see some more home runs. I don't know. I don't feel great about it.
It's as good a pick as any, Hoges. Now, next series, you're going to be on again, but you're going to be with David because I have the opportunity that, Hoges, I'm sure you've had before.
I am not throwing away my shot.
I get to see Hamilton. I'm actually bringing about 40 students with me.
Oh, wow.
To go see it, which is always exciting. They have
so will you be watching or chaperoning? Like, are you going to mostly just be chasing people around the whole time?
Nah, these are I like to think very responsible juniors and seniors.
There you go.
And actually, a couple parents are coming too, so it'll
Nice.
be me. I'm actually bringing my oldest 2 boys as well. But they always set an over-under on how many times Mr. Thompson is going to cry during the musical. What would be the over? Mine is like 6. And
I haven't seen it.
You've never
yet.
seen it?
I've never seen it. I've seen it. It's one of my things that I just do not like to admit. The first time it came around to Minnesota at the Orpheum, I had tickets in my inbox because it was like a lottery or whatever, and I got chosen to go in a little bit earlier. So I had 2 tickets. We were talking about going with our friends, and she was about 15 minutes behind me on getting to pick again. And there were tons of seats available when I was picking. So I was like, all right, it'd be fun if we could sit kind of close, like couples kind of sit close together. So I let them go, and they sold out in that time frame, and I missed out on them. And then the resale market, they were like 7 times more of what I could have paid for them. I will never live it down. I gotta go see it. I to this day I've refused to actually watch. Like, I know they did like
you haven't even
live.
watched it on
I haven't
Disney
even watched
Plus?
it because I want to see it.
Yeah,
I want to see it live in person before I watch it on, because it's just not the same to me, I guess. So yeah, I am incredibly jealous. I have to get there. My parents have seen it on Broadway. Like I've got to see it.
I think this will be my 4th time seeing it too. So
I'm up there on Wicked and Phantom. I'm probably close on both of those, but yeah, I still have yet to see Hamilton. Much to my dismay and my wife's.
Well, luckily David is not on this episode, so he can't cut that part out. So that will stay. So Hoges, again, I appreciate you filling in. I will raise a glass to you then, I suppose, when I'm watching that show. And I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and send us out. Folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Min for the Win. You can find our Min for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on your favorite platforms so you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or a like, we greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins. That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.